the Geelong Cats smashed the Sydney Swans to win the 2022 AFL Grand Final in front of 100,000 fans. This is your Grand Final match review. Yeah, baby! Cats fans, we did it. We bloody well did it. We are premiers. And I told you so right at the start of the year. I told you so. Told you it was going to happen. I said we're winning the damn thing. Picked it. Said we're going to win 19 games. We won 18, but that's okay. We won it. We got it. Job done. Job bloody well done. How good is it? Oh, it's been, now it's Monday. I've had a few days to think on it and watch a replay and watch all the highlights and absorbing all the Mad Monday stuff today, which was an absolute crack up. But it's just been the best thing ever. It's just absolutely fantastic. I'm still 2 or 3 days later. I'm a bit lost for words, but I'm sure as I go through this review, it'll start coming back to me a little bit. If this is your first time joining us on the show, thank you, Brad. Brad, see all those subscribers up the top there? They're pretty new. Thank you, guys and girls, and anyone else in between. Thank you all for joining the channel. We've got 390. As you can see somewhere down there. Yep, 390 subscribers at the moment. We're trying to get to 400, so help us get there. Look, now I want to start off the show. Before I get into the game, I just want to talk about Joel Selwood a little bit and what he means to me and to other people as well, I guess. But the whole year I've been banging on about how this is really important that we win this for Joel. It could be his last year. It may not be, and I'm not trying to retire the guy, but how I've always wanted him to be a premiership captain, and I always felt like it was his destiny to become one, and I am so happy for the guy. And didn't he, we'll cover some of the things he did during the game, but didn't he just elevate himself to a whole nother level? Couldn't really see how he could elevate himself any higher than what he already was, but somehow he found a way, and he's in God mode now, legendary status. Whatever you want to use. He's absolutely fantastic and got me in the feels a hell of a lot on Saturday in the days that have followed. He's an absolute champion and a good bloke, it seems. So, hopefully other people if you're watching this and you're not a Geelong supporter, hopefully you realise that no matter what you think about his tactics around shrugging tackles and all that, you can't ignore the fact that he's a good bloke. Hopefully you're starting to see that, and you cut him a bit of slack, and you actually recognise if he has played his last game, we have lost one of the greats of the game, and hopefully if he's hanging around, that's fantastic. But if he's not, hopefully he'll be in some capacity still involved in the industry. I'd hate to lose him permanently. I can't imagine what Geelong's going to be like without him being around. All right, enough gushing about Joel. I'm sure I'll cover a bit more of him a bit later on, but goodness me. Do I love that bloke? Not as much as you, Brad. I love you. You're number one. You're my number one, and you've confirmed that status on the weekend. So well done, Brad. All right. So thoughts. Some overall thoughts on the game. I think I was confident all week. I was not very confident, but confident enough. I've never been into a grand final where I could say that I didn't have all these really, really negative thoughts. I had one or two, but overall I was pretty positive that we're going to win the whole thing and do it reasonably comfortably. And I haven't had that feeling before in previous grand finals, so I was happy with that. Really devastated with Max Holmes going out. That hurt me. I was lucky enough to get grand final tickets at the very last minute. I had a 1.5 hour drive to Brighton to pick him up and spend a small fortune. And ended up being North Melbourne breakfast tickets, which was the brekkie televised on Channel 7. And I'm sitting there at the table and getting these messages, or some bloke next to me said, Max Holmes is confirmed out. I'm like, oh no. And it absolutely destroyed me. So partner's like, don't get all fatalistic and it's fine. I'm thinking, I don't know. And then not long later we heard that Parfitt was probably the man coming in as the medical sub. There was a bit of confusion at first. We thought he might have been in as the direct replacement, but that was Mark O'Connor, of course. That was promised during the week as well, if he was going to come in if Holmes didn't get up. So very devastated. But just again, back to overall thoughts. I just thought the way we played the whole game in terms of our defensive structures were just on point. There wasn't a moment throughout the game where we seemed to be dropping off in that regard. We just persisted every minute of every quarter. There wasn't any glitch or any hiccups or any player that was just out of sync a little bit. It just the whole game, the boys just performed that role, that team defence the whole way through. And for me, that's always a good indicator when I'm looking at the game in the first few minutes. Like, how are they structuring up? Are they on today? If they're all a bit loose, like the Collingwood first quarter against Collingwood, it just seemed to be they're all over the place. They're just a bit rattled, but eventually they found their way and they pulled it back together again. And I think that's probably been Geelong this whole year. I just keep saying they find a way to fix it. So they have a bad quarter, and they find a way to fix it, and that happened again on the weekend. Not that you'd say it's a bad quarter because we still won the quarter by a point, but that second quarter when it was relatively even in terms of scoring, we went away and we absolutely, Sydney looked like they were probably starting to get into the game a little bit, but we went away, looked at what was going wrong, and then just absolutely came out that third quarter and smashed them again. So I think that's just happened the whole year round, and it just gives you so much confidence as a supporter sitting in the stands, knowing that, okay, that was a bad quarter, but watch us turn it around. We'll figure out what we were doing wrong and we'll fix it. And it's just like they've got the ability to do that. And I love that about this club, that they can just turn it on. They just know what the issue is and they go and fix the issue. Some clubs, or other teams, know what the issue is, but they can't do anything about it. But we just figure it out and off we go. Yeah, it's just amazing to watch it. I love it. I really loved the pressure we brought, the territory gains, just those little hits and taps and momentum. Get it forward, get a hand on it. Just move it to the left or the right of the opponent so that they can't gather it cleanly. Put that body hit on, and just the execution. I mean, I know our disposal efficiency was pretty much on par with them, but looking at it didn't seem that way. We were just linking up beautifully, and it was just everything was just clicking. It was amazing. So all sides of our game, everything was just working as it should. It was as it should be played, as the song goes. It was perfect Geelong football. I absolutely loved it. Our guns, our older players, heroes of years gone by, were fantastic and probably led the way for the game. Our middle tier players played above themselves, I thought, and our bottom six played to expectation, which is all you can really ask of them. And when I say to expectation, that's not a shot. I think that's just saying that I'll throw Reece Stanley in the mix. I'll name someone. I thought he was fantastic. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. He didn't have to be the best player on the ground, and he wasn't. But he was fantastic. Maybe he was even slightly above his normal. But those type of players, just great. Just oh my god, I love them all. I'm really happy to say your Kolodashnis, your Myers, your Baby Guthries, your Stanleys. There's a handful of others. Premiership players, and always will be, no matter what people say about them in future. They're premiership players for this club. They've joined, the 92 or 93 premiership players. One premiership players now. Well done, guys. There's a handful more. Two-time premiership players, and I think Tommy Hawkins has joined the 3-time premiership player club, and Joel Selwood, welcome to the 4-time premiership player club. Only one at Geelong to have ever done it. There's going to be a lot of Joel Selwood gushing in this episode, I'm telling you now. What else have I got? All right, so let's go through quarter by quarter. Now, I've watched the replay, I've just made some notes, and I can talk about some of the goals that were kicked and all that sort of stuff, but I like talking about, especially in the grand final, I like thinking about the big moments that really mattered, that really made a difference, that the players should get credit for. So I'm going to go through them. I've made some notes. I might look down from time to time. I thought the first quarter, it was a bit of a nervous start, probably from both teams really. I thought DK started a bit scratchy. There was one out on the full there. Buse was fumbling it a little bit. So those two were probably the roughest, but and we were struggling to put our dominance on the game. At least in the start anyway. And then Tommy Hawkins just said, no, let's sort this out. Let's just show you boys how to actually put on a ruck masterclass. And didn't he just? He kicked that first goal, snap, just pulled it out of the ruck and went bang, and no chance. And then a couple of minutes later, he followed up again. And it's like, Tommy, what are you doing, mate? You are a gun. And we're sitting there in the stands and everyone's just looking at each other thinking, 2 goals in front. yeah, this is going well. We are not 5 goals down, which is your big fear. As years gone by in big finals, we've just coughed up a big lead and we've had to fight our way back the whole game. And now we're looking at a 2 goals to nothing scoreline. I'm like, oh, this is nice. We're sitting very pretty right now, and you couldn't really ask for anything more. It was beautiful. There was a moment where Dangerfield broke clear from a pack and found Blitz in the pocket on his chest, and then, is Blitzo's going to kick this? And yeah, he does. And I couldn't believe that. And I'm like, yeah, Danger's on today. I'm liking what Danger's doing so far. And little did I know that he was going to do about 10 or 15 of these acts for the whole game. Then he wins another contest in the centre, which led to Isaac Smith's first goal. I'm thinking, Danger, you're killing it, mate. But I was quite happy with Isaac Smith getting a goal because I picked him for 3 or 4 during the week. I was right behind Isaac Smith because he had a bit of a rough game in the prelim. So I thought I'll get behind him this week. There was a beautiful tackle from O'Connor on, I think it was Rowbottom, which led to Smith getting his second goal. So I thought, we wouldn't have got that goal if not for O'Connor bringing down Rowbottom. I think it was around the centre of the ground or on the wing somewhere there. That was great. Then Stewart just absorbing some contact. It was beautiful. He just took it nicely. There was another contest there. Isaac Smith's blind turn hits Close on the chest, which also led to a goal from Closey. Closey was on as well. Oh, Closey, you're on. Oh, don't we love you, Closey. Then you had DK, I thought, oh no, DK's a bit nervous. I've never seen him nervous before, but it's a grand final. But no, DK steps up and takes a contested mark on the wing. I'm like, he's back. He's all right. He just had a bit of a slow start. He's fine. Then you're getting Selwood taking contested marks and having about 12 touches in that first quarter as well. We were pretty hard on Selwood. Because he turned it over once or twice, missed a couple of handballs and so forth, but he was getting a stack of it. So he looks a lot better on the replay, I must say. But yeah, watching it live, I was like, oh, he's turned it over again. What are you doing, Joel? Won the quarter by 35 points. Absolutely dominated. I think it was one of the highest first quarters in a long time. I don't know how long, but we're talking about being some kind of a record, if not the record. So that was crazy. We get into the second quarter, and then you get Gary Rowan with his clean gather and his territory kick. Didn't end up a goal, but I think it got into the forward 50, and it's okay, beautiful. Those little things, he could have just miskicked it and gone out of bounds on the full, but no, it's 50 metres up the ground. But territory, it's just all those little things you need in a grand final to win these things. It was great. Then Stengel somehow gets it. Takes a mark. All right, Stengel, he's not going to kick this. He's a little man. Little men don't kick at 50 metres. He doesn't kick at 50 metres. Goes back. Bang! Stengel. Thank you very much. Never in doubt. Cats by 40 points. Can we call it yet? We're 40 points up? Is this? It's early in the second quarter. Is it game over? No, we can't call it. I remember back in 07 we were like 90 points up at 3/4 time. I'm still not calling it. But feeling confident at that point in time. When Stengel's hitting those ones from 50 metres out, you're feeling pretty confident. And then, we get Brad Close taking an intercept mark. It's great. He's snapping him around the corner. Like, oh, Brad's got 2. How good's this? We're going all right from there. And it's party time. Isaac Smith grabs it from the logo, from the Telstra logo on the 50-metre line. He goes bang, and he's got 3 already. I'm like, what is going on here? 3 goals already. It's just, I think that was in the third quarter, wasn't it? So, I just missed a couple here. Sorry. I'll stay on the third quarter anyway. Then you get Danger again with a tackle and a spoil. Guthrie tackle and a goal. All these things are just crazy. Even baby Guthrie was playing hip and shoulder at one point. It was amazing. It was great. But just Danger doing all these things, like hitting the ball at speed, hitting out sting. How many goal assists did he and score involvements did he get? He was just pretty much in everything. It was great in the third quarter at one point. I think he was on the wing, on the boundary line somewhere, and he's just holding the ball. Oh, can't find someone to kick to, and the crowd was just cheering him. I was like, he's soaking this up. He's having his little moment, which is great. I love to see it. It was fantastic. Won the third quarter by 38 points. Just absolutely killed it. And then, fourth quarter. We won the fourth quarter by 7 points, but it was pretty much just kick to kick, wasn't it? And have a bit of fun and have a laugh. But Jesus, didn't we enjoy that fourth quarter though, as fans in the crowd and the players, everyone, except the Swans, of course. Jessa got his first goal. He was I wouldn't say he's quiet, but he just couldn't get it on the scoreboard.
Wasn't really involved in that sense for a little bit, but Danger was handing it off to him and giving Jezza his first for the game. We were getting then at Guthrie, big brother Cam Guthrie goes off with a hamstring injury. I don't know if he actually had a hamstring, but a few people in the crowd near me were all trying to get Parfitt on in that last quarter, hoping that maybe Jezza would go off because he looked like he was struggling with some hamstring tightness. And we thought we'll get Parfitt on, but no, Guthrie did the right thing and went off, and on comes Parfitt, and within a minute, goal, thanks to a Brad Close, over the shoulder handball. How good's that? That was fantastic, wasn't it? Chris Scott was going bananas in the coach's box for that one, as was everyone at the ground. There was a Parfitt chant going up at one point. That was fantastic. And then DK's like, I want to get in on this. Everyone else is kicking goals. Let me kick a goal. So he waltzed down into the goal square during the play and somehow finds himself on the end of a danger snap and kicks it from point blank range. And didn't he go nuts? Didn't he lose himself? He's getting very loose in that fourth quarter, and definitely won the 3 votes for post game celebrations for sure. Maybe shared it with Tom Atkins. Both of them were fantastic. What else we got? Yeah, the Selwood goal. The Selwood goal, was that not the perfectly scripted ending to this game and possibly to his career? Again, I'm not trying to retire the bloke, but if it is the end, isn't there a better way to finish it up? Just that little banana from the Brad Close, just the tap on to Selwood, who took a massive hit, by the way, when he was kicking it. But yeah, just send it through. The emotions started welling up inside. Every player, every Geelong player jumped on top of him. It was one of the best things I've ever seen in footy, to be honest. It was fantastic. And you got 10 seconds to go. And I'm thinking, okay, boys, just enjoy it. Nah, DK is just diving to smother a ball, attempting to anyway, with 10 seconds on the clock. It's like, mate, you can take it easy. But no, he's just diving. Watch the last 10 seconds. It's crazy what he does. It's just insane. As I said, Cats won it by 7 points, game over. The crowd's just delirious. Tears on the crowd, on the ground by the players. Everyone's almost. How many blokes did I see crying? It was great. It's just they really allowed themselves to feel what it meant. And I was sort of just getting all these feelings. Is a few players saying goodbye? Is this the end for this core group? I don't know, but I'm really glad that they got. Oh, clearly glad they got the win, but for them just to be able to embrace all the emotions and that came with that. You're only there once. They definitely took their time and lapped everything up, which is fantastic. And I was glad that they had the last few minutes to enjoy the game as well. Really liked the Hawkins and Selwood embrace at the end. Hawkins was sort of, he couldn't console himself. he was really upset, but that was lovely. The two of them, they've been there from the beginning back in 2007. Doing it together the whole way. Selwood, clearly came on a bit quicker. The bigger blokes take a bit longer, but they've been there from day one, and they're pretty much best mates. So I was really happy for that. Dane Rampy made a really nice loser's speech as well. A little bit of a nod to Joel and one of the legends of the game. So it was really, really nice. One of the better losing speeches I've ever seen, actually. I can't remember a better one. So spoke really well. So I didn't really know he had that in him, but that was very impressive. I liked Isaac Smith, when he received his Norm Smith, having a little shout out to his pop. That was nice too. I enjoyed that. I loved it when Jed Buse got called up and the crowd went Buse. That was good. That was quite funny. I'd never heard that before for him, so I wonder if that'll become a regular thing for Busey from now on. Tom Stewart, what are you doing with the handshake thing, mate? Anyway, we'll come to that. You missed a little Oz kicker there, Tom. You got to do better than that. The Selwood chant. And number 14, Geelong captain, and then the long pause, and everyone's doing Selwood, and it felt like it went for 5 minutes. It was great. Some of the things from that game you'll just remember forever, and that was one of the things. All the boys just getting around. It was the longest it's probably taken for anyone to get from their name being called out to coming to the dais. It was just, that moment was really precious, and it's fantastic, wasn't it? He got up there and it was great, and then afterwards, he gave the shoes to the Oz Kick kid, and then afterwards, after it was all said and done and the cup had been raised, Lingy enjoyed that moment, didn't he? Selwood went and took some photos with the Auskick kids, and they were just loving it. He's king of the kids, isn't he? They just love him, and they'll probably all become Geelong supporters now, or at least it'll be their second favourite club anyway. Absolutely love the guy. Post-game celebrations, we stayed right to the end. We were on the fourth tier, so we were kind of fair way off it, I suppose, but we snuck down to the front row and caught up with my brother and sister-in-law, and who was sitting separately to us, but we caught up with them and we were just watching the lap of honour. It wasn't really a lap of honour, it was more like go to all corners of the ground and just do it how you want to do it. So it's a little bit different this time around, but kind of the cup itself, I guess, made its way around slowly, but all the players were just all over the place, catching up with family and friends, and just Tom Atkins was just going nuts in one particular corner of the ground. He was loving it. Really and Sam de Corning, those two boys just were fighting for the 3 votes for the best on ground in the post-game celebration stuff. They were both amazing. I saw Tom Stewart crowd surfing with his mates at one point. That was pretty good, near the exit where the players come off in the race. And then the Sammy Morfitt moment wasn't that great when Joel said, "Mate, come out," and Sammy's eyes just went wide and like, "You serious? Come on the ground, buddy, come on." And didn't we all love it? I think that footage has gone worldwide. It's some of the best footage there was. Just haven't even talked about Levi yet, but we'll come to that as well. But and singing the song on the ground, it was right in front of us, and in that down that end of the ground next to the goalpost, with about 200 players and supporters and family members just singing the club song in a circle. That was amazing, with the cup on the ground in the middle. It's just beautiful scenes. Got some footage of it, which I posted on Twitter. That was great. I loved it. So for the Sydney mob, they were rubbish. They had a big stinker, didn't they? It's going to hurt them. I think it'll scar them for a few years. I wouldn't be surprised if that really affected them for a couple of years. I actually can't see them making it back next year. Look, they might make the finals, but making the grand final, if it had been close, then fair enough. There's a bit of work to do and there's a hunger there, but they'd have a lot of self-doubt now after the way they performed. I guess the only couple of players that can hold their heads up high, to my mind, was Chad Warner with his 29 touches and a couple of goals. Parker had 23 touches. He pretty beat. I would say he was beaten, but at least he tackled really well. He had 14 tackles, so you can't ask much more than that. But you got to get the ball too. So we had the ball a lot, and all they could really do was tackle. But I don't know how effective those tackles were. But he had 14 to his name. So other than that, I don't think there was many Swans. Clearly, Buddy was rubbish, and I think Champion Data had him as the worst player on the ground. Gave him the Bronx cheers at some point. That was nice. Poor bloke. Not everyone. You can't play. Not everyone plays well in a grand final. Pretty much every Geelong player did though, which was fantastic. All right. So some takeaways from the game, I guess. 16 straight wins. How good is it? 23 straight wins isn't far off. Win the first 7 next year. Thank you very much. I'm going to enjoy the moment for a little bit. But come pre-season, I'll be starting to think about that 23 straight wins again. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. Might depend on the fixture and how many interstate trips the AFL makers go on and all that sort of stuff. Well done, Chris Scott. Improved second premiership now. 200th win as coach of a club. Absolute gun. Not to mention, I think he won 2 premierships as a player as well. So, absolute champ. Zach Toohey didn't get your avenue of honour from both clubs, but because you didn't come off for about 40 minutes after the game, the players lifted him up and just sort of raised him up to the crowd for the photographers and all that. It was really nice. He had his flag from his Irish club. I think it was his Irish club over his shoulder. That was really nice, and holding the cup. And you don't get to do. How often you get to hold a premiership cup in your 250th or a milestone game for that matter? How many milestone games do we have this year? It was crazy how many we had. I don't think we got that many next year. Just a handful, I think. Some smaller ones too. What else is there? Oldest team. It's probably the other thing just been reported. I think it's the oldest team that's ever turned up in a game, possibly, or a grand final at the very least in history. So insane. Look, we won. We just dominated everywhere. A couple of stats though. We won the inside 50s by plus 33. Contested possessions we won by plus 41, and marks plus 62. which was crazy. I mean, it's not normally the way we like to play in terms of winning all the marks, but just goes to show how much dominance we had across the ground. The Swans were rubbish. They couldn't string 2 or 3 possessions together. They kept turning it over. I think we scored like 65 or something like that from contested clearances or something like that. I think it was. It was a crazy start. I can't remember exactly. I think it was from stoppages. It might have been 65 points. It was insane. It's where the game was won, really. So Swans just couldn't compete in that area, and it was really odd that they couldn't. They just didn't turn up, and I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure they're shaking their head thinking, what did we do wrong? Clearly they shouldn't have picked Sam Reid, and he went down again late in the second quarter. I don't know how long he was carrying that injury during that quarter, or whether he sustained it in the first quarter. I don't know, but they subbed him out after half time, and his day was done. Johnny Longmire just looked confused and shocked, and I don't know what. Any of them they just looked completely out of it. They didn't fire a shot after the first couple of minutes. After Tommy got that goal and then banged on a second one, they just looked like a beaten team almost. A couple of moments in the second quarter where they think, oh, okay, they're starting to find something, but then we snuffed them out as soon as they got a goal. We pretty much got one back. I don't even know if they got 2 in a row. Possibly in the fourth quarter they might have got consecutive goals, but who cares at that point? Really, the game was over. It was all done. So I guess some final comments probably on my experiences on the whole day. As I said, I got some last minute tickets. Cost me a small fortune to get them, and had an hour and a half drive to Brighton to pick them up on Friday afternoon. Thankfully they weren't scammers, but no, thank you to the lovely man and his kids for making these tickets available for us, and we had a great time. And I think they've become subscribers on the show. So kids, if you're watching, Take Two Twins. I've been watching your show. It's a good YouTube show. Those kids put me to shame. They've got 7,000 subscribers or 8,000 or something like that. I've got 390. I've got a long way to go, kids, but tell your mates. Get around to school and tell your mates about the Hoop Show. Help us out. But yeah, thank you for the tickets. We really enjoyed it, and I couldn't believe we got there in the end. It was fantastic. Got to the North Melbourne Brekkie. That was a great morning. I don't think I've ever been in a room with the Prime Minister before, and opposition leader, and a few other celebs, and that was pretty crazy. The food was surprisingly good as well, so that was nice. And had a comedian there, and all this stuff. And I think Diesel was playing music at one point. Gil McLaughlin, the Premiership Cup turned up with Basher Hooley. It was a great morning. And just beers on. They were just trying to get us incredibly drunk at 8 o'clock in the morning, which I'm not used to doing. I did have a coffee before I started on the beer, but I was pretty controlled. I didn't want to go into the game too much under my skin, so I went nice and easy. It's a long day when you get up at 5:30 in the morning and you're not getting back till late. So it's just like take it easy. Just happy to be at the game and to have a few things to do for the day. It was a bit of a. Probably the other thing I'll say is, I'll come back to this. When we got there, it was a bit of a slow build up. We got our seats pretty almost a couple of hours before the game started. Really, we were just keen to get in there and just to lap it all up. And we were sitting, as I said, top deck. We were looking down upon the Channel 7 crew. I think Hamish, McLaughlin, and Hodgie and Lepich were in the box, doing the outside box thing that they record from, and they were mostly just sort of setting up half the time. But it was interesting to sort of see how that comes together. I'm always interested in that side of things. And watching Shannon Neal do his 100-metre sprints, I thought, he's a chance here. He won the first heat, and I thought, he's going to be in. He's a good chance for this one. And then just I don't know what happened in the final, but maybe he got off to a bad start or something like that. He must have missed the gun, but he was well behind. I don't think he placed in the podium in the final, so that's all right. Now we won a heat. That's good. It made the Cat supporters smile for a little bit. I think bloody Richmond won though, didn't they? Anyway, good on you, Richmond. If that's all you get, good for you. What else we got here? Robbie Williams was great. I think pretty much everyone, not everyone, but most people would say the pre-game entertainment was one of the best things we've ever had for the AFL at least. I know NRL does it pretty well most years, but for us, it was great. Couldn't fault it really. maybe the halftime entertainment wasn't as good, but the pre-game was just great. It was got the crowd into it. So it took a little while because Aussies are always a bit slow to warm up. Just don't blindly fall over ourselves over celebrities. But yeah, we had a bit of fun. Especially, I think the John Farnham song was perfect. I think that got everyone up and about. So that was, I think, was You're the Voice, I think it was. So that was good. And I think Farnsey, his family, said he really appreciated it too from his hospital bed. It was fun having a bit of banter with the Swans fans in the crowd throughout the game. That was great. My favourite moment from the whole game was probably Levi. Selwood taking little Levi Ablett through the banner. Thought that was fantastic. It's probably my favourite thing on. And anyway, let's look at some of the ticks and crosses. Hey, so we'll start with some crosses. So the first one, and I didn't mention this before, but when I was at the North Melbourne breakfast, one of the speakers was Jared Ruffhead, and he was sitting there with Brownie and Moons. And I think there was one other, possibly, I can't remember, but yeah, Jared Ruffhead was there, and he was absolutely tripping out. I don't know what he was smoking beforehand, but he was saying that Sydney was the best team all year. I'm thinking, mate, did you realise Geelong's won 18 games, 2 clear of anyone else, and is on a 15-game winning streak? And he's like, I don't know. Anyways, I guess you've got to be a bit different, but to say that Sydney was the best team all year is just ridiculous. So I'm naming him. I'm also going to name Mick from Brighton on SEN on the drive home, talking about how Geelong's going to fall off a cliff now. Everyone's just going to retire, and like, mate, do you even know anything about this club? Like, do you know how many young guys we've got coming through? And Max Holmes didn't even play, and we're going to be an absolute force at the trade table over the next few days. So, mate, we'll be fine. We'll be at least top 4. I'm not going to say we're going to win it again next year because, a lot of things have to go right, and a lot of things did go right for us in 2022. But I imagine that we've got all the right pieces and all the right coaches to have another crack at it in 2023. So top 4, here we come. Why not? We've done it almost every other year. 12 times, I think. I don't know how many, 9 times in the last 12 years we've made top 4, something like that. It's absolutely crazy. I'm really struggling for the crosses, but I'm going to try and find a few. But so a couple of at the halftime entertainment, there was a few technical issues with some of the signage or the display sort of stuff on the stage, but that was a minor thing. I'm really struggling for these crosses because not much went wrong on grand final day. Stuart snub, we talked about that on the premiership dais when the poor little Oz kicker had the hand extended and Stuart's like, yay! Poor old kid. I think he's at least tried to reach out anyway or put the call out saying if anyone knows the family or the kid, please get in touch. So as I thought he would when I saw that, he'll fix that up. He'll reach out and get the kid a little gift or send a little message to him or something like that. So but that didn't look good, did it? It stood out. And there's usually one player that forgets to do that. Knocked his hat off too, Stuart did. I don't know what he was having a mare. I don't know. He's just enjoyed himself too much. I said to Beck, what other crosses can I have? And she goes, the hot dogs were cold. I said, yeah, all right, I'll have to squeeze that one in there because I can't think of anything else. So hence the hot dog photo, if you are watching it on YouTube as opposed to listening to it on YouTube. All right, what else have we got? So let's have a look at some ticks because there's a lot of ticks, and I've got a couple. Look, my favourite moment of the day. It wasn't a moment in the game. It was Selwood taking little Levi Ablett through the banner. It was just an absolutely perfect moment. I think everyone... It was probably up there with the Teddy Whitten Lap of Honour in the State of Origin game from a few years back in terms of just getting everyone in that... I'm struggling to even talk about it. It's a very emotional thing. It's just the kid, and there's a couple of photos of him just smiling and giggling away and as he's going through, and I just thought it was a really beautiful moment. So I'm really, really happy that the Ablets got to have that moment, and for little Levi, for him to have that moment as well, to be on the MCG with Joel, who clearly is just king of the kids, and almost feels like his little uncle to Levi. That's what it looked like. Staying on Joel for a sec, I loved his banana kick. I think we talked about it as well, but just the perfect captain's goal, the captain's banana, just in that fourth quarter. It seems to be a thing that we do in fourth quarters. Cameron Ling in 2011 kicked a goal in the last as well, and everyone got around him, and it was great. Selwood just collapsed to the ground and just hands over his face. Just, he couldn't believe it. Everyone was all over him, and I felt like the game was delayed by a couple of minutes. It probably wasn't, but yeah, just that was a special moment. Parfitt coming on. We talked about this coming on within a minute, kicking a goal. And I'm thinking I felt so bad for the guy for the last month not being able to get picked, because he'd be in any other team, and he's probably in our best 10 players, but just couldn't get on the park because of structure, and Tom Atkins is probably doing the same role, and but I'm glad he got on, and I'm glad he got into play, and had about 8 touches in 9 minutes of game time and kicked that goal. It was fantastic. And yeah, DK joining the party late as well. Cheeky bugger, just drifting down and wanted to get into the action. It felt like under 9 stuff where you're up and about and everyone wants to get in on the action. Yeah, good on him. I'm really glad. First goal ever in a grand final. One more than Buddy kicked for the game too, and I think everyone will be reminding Buddy of that for many years to come. Or at least if he's got one more year to go. There'll be a couple of opportunities to remind Buddy about that. And again, another big one for me was Sammy's big moment. Sammy Morfitt when he got on the ground. There's just so many special moments from that day, and a lot of them aren't even on the ground. The little Levi and the Sammy moment, 2 huge moments that didn't even involve football. Just really human acts, which just make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, don't they? All right, let's have a look at the votes. So I've gone with 1 vote for Blick Arbs. I thought he was fantastic all day. So, these are just my votes, but you could almost have Blick Arbs in the top 3, really. But I thought he was great. Squeezed him in for a vote. I just loved everything that Brad Close did. All the little things that he didn't get a possession for. Made all the right decisions. Executed when he needed to. Gave off plenty of goal assists. Took the marks on his chest. Diving forward when he had to. Just did everything right. And geez, he's a strong man for a little fellow. Some of the tackles he lays and the hits and how he can shrug tackles. I don't know how he does it. He's so lightly built, but he's just muscle. I'd be curious to know what he benches, because he just seems like a really strong man for such a little guy. It's pound for pound, goodness me. Tyson Stengel, everyone around me was chanting Normie Stengel. And I thought, yeah, it's probably out of him and Isaac Smith. And I wasn't surprised when Isaac Smith got it, especially when I was looking at how many possessions he had. He had 32. I'm thinking, oh, goodness me, yeah. But I had Isaac as with the 4 votes. After watching the replay, I realised that Danger was just in everything, and probably should have got the Norm Smith. I mean, if people were voting again and watched the replay, they probably would have seen what Danger had done, and it might have been, not to take anything away from Izzy, but Danger was the man, and was clearly best on ground for me. He didn't kick a goal, but just did set everything up for us. Was involved in almost everything. He was great. So it's a bit of a shame he didn't get it, but just announced today that he won the Gary Ayres medal for best player in the finals. So I think that's probably on par, really. I know people mostly remember the Norm Smith medalist, but Gary Ayres medal's pretty good as well, I'd have to say. So look, I think that's about it from me. I think probably a bonus vote for me would be Jezza Cameron, with his giving his medal to the cow. If you want to give Jezza half a vote for that. That was pretty funny. And turns up today dressed as a chicken, which is in reference to his Instagram story a few days ago, where he found the chickens had hatched some eggs, which was great. That was fantastic. All right, so I'm just going to close it off. I just want to say a few. It's not my last show of the year, but a good opportunity to say a few thank yous to some people that have been a big part of the show over the past 6 to 8 months. Biggest thank you of all would go to Paul James, who does our Behind the Play series, and was on our match preview video just a few days ago as well. Paul and I have become pretty good mates over the past 6 months or so, and I've really appreciated everything he's given to the channel, and he's an absolute pro with what he does with his interviews, and geez, we've had some big names on that show as well, and I'll thank some of those people shortly. But yeah, Paul, if you're watching, thank you, mate. You were fantastic all year round. want to thank some other contributors to the channel, including Jake, Johnny, and Sambo from the Chaps Cats. They did a 10-episode series of Draft Wars, which I found fantastic and had a lot of laughs with. So you can find those videos on our channel as well. So basically just using like the dream team or fantasy scores, picking players every week. That was a good bit of fun for those that sort of caught a few of those episodes. They're up there on the channel if you want to check them out. Thanks, boys. I really appreciate that. And yeah, we're really good mates, and we're hoping to catch up at a game or two next year as well, which will be fun. Or I might even jump on their channel at some point as well. Maybe even in the next few days. We'll see how we go. Kieran, thank you to you as well for your last time series. Fantastic, and I'm sure we'll do a bit of more work together next year as well if you're still keen. I want to thank Oliver Walker-Peel, our commentator. There was a couple of highlight packages that he did some commentary for us for. That was fantastic. Endry, who's the man responsible for our intro music. Thank you for letting me use your music. I love it. I'll just bop away to it as I'm doing my little intros every time. So I really appreciate you letting us use that. It's fantastic. And also want to thank Beck and my partner and the kids just for letting me do this role. And it does take a little bit of time up away from family, so I appreciate them for everything they do and give me time to do it as well. So thank you to that. Just quickly, I also want to thank a few of the guests that have been on the show over the year. Bundy Christensen, Anna Pavlou, Katrina Roundtree, Nick Wade, Matt Stokes, Steve Brax, John Aaron, Craig Wessels, Jake Rippon, Caden McDonald, Tom King, Swoop Luke, Mel, Jake Bertone, I think, Jill and Gabby from the Pride Group, and Seb Wright. So everyone who's been on a guest of our show, so thank you to all you people. You've been fantastic. And last but not least, let me thank our patrons, so our subscribers. As you can see the link down the bottom there as well. Jared jumped on early. I really appreciate your financial support this year, Jared. And Ted, who's my dad, by the way. I told him not to give me money, but he did anyway. So thank you. And Sean, who's one of our big sort of sponsors, who's been fantastic for this show and has really helped us do some things, which is really appreciated, Sean. So for those three people, really, really appreciate your support. It's helping the channel grow. And hopefully we'll get a few more patrons in the years to come. If you want to support the channel, maybe not now because we're in the off season, but you can if you want. But the link's there if you want to check us out. And Paul and I'll get together and we're going to come up with some content for patron-only subscribers soon. But if you just want to be a supporter of the show and not assist financially, we love you either way, and we'd love you to hit that subscriber button too. So if you could do that, that'd be fantastic. I know Brad loves it when people subscribe, so definitely get on board. As I said, there's a fair bit more to come. Follow up from the grand final, a few other things. I'm off to the Carji Greaves medal night on Thursday night, which will be a lot of fun, and I'm sure I'll have some things to talk about from that as well. I might even upload some videos while I'm there too. Hopefully I'll get to meet one or two players. I'd love to meet Brad close. So Brad, if you're watching, look out for me, and hopefully we'll get you on camera at some point. That'll be good. Anyway, well done, Catters. We did it. Premiers 2022, and let's do it all again next year. Go Cats.